Welcome to the 1878 FM podcast. Myself, Ped, and Dave. We are bushless again. He's still on. It was predicted last week by Dave that childcare would be Bush's main priority.
Yeah, I've got a gripe with this.
Yeah, hey, gripe away.
Because yesterday he was on the radio all day doing a indie disco all day. Like now, now he did do it from his box room, I can tell.
Okay.
I heard that, and I wonder whether that was pre-recorded.
I don't know, because I mean, I was listening for a brief moment, and it was like just very quick links between, you know, Cooler Shaker and such forth. And I did think that, but then did he read out a tweet or something? Like, tweet might have been made up or sent to him by his missus or one of his children or something. But I did think that would even that though, Dave, would take a lot of recording, wouldn't it? Just to do the links for 7 hours.
Yeah, it would. But I suspect that might have been pre-recorded. So in his defence, he might be having all of this week off. But I did say last week, I said there's no danger beyond this week. Not when the kids are still on Easter holes. And sure enough,
I've got a backstory to that though.
Okay, but I have no issue. I have no issue with him not being here because he's got the kids. That's fine. It's safe. Take that home with you. It's just that, you know, also, you know, doing the side hustle.
Yeah,
at the same time. I'm not happy with that.
His real job is not
happy with that. You know, let's, you know.
What I would say is his missus was off yesterday and she's back in work today. So that might have created.
How do you know that?
Because he told me.
Yeah, how do you know that?
If you literally looked, because you know what, boys? You know, if you looked in our group, you would see.
There's a group.
Literally. Yeah, Pet, we do have a group. You are in it. Okay. He said in the group that his wife's back at work today.
I'd look more in our group if there was more like exciting stuff. Like, I want to see Dave on his paddleboard, just giving it one of them, going through the rivers of
Babylon.
Well, Dave, Kashing there, the pair of us.
Shit in this country, but you know, going down with a big GoPro stick, getting a good selfies of himself. That's, you know, flashing the abs.
That's the content you want.
The Gillian styled hair.
Dave, though, if you think about
styled hair.
Dave's he's got tremendous hair, Dave. Defo been to Turkey, but Dave's our very own Iron Man. He rides his bike, goes on 25-mile bike thing.
It's fine. When you say Iron Man to me, I have a completely different. I was like, he goes round in a metal suit flying.
No, not that kind of Iron Man.
Sorry.
He rides his bike. He paddle boards. I bet he fell in a few times, therefore qualifying as swimming. And he also runs. So,
and I've got the glasses.
And the like, see, look, I mean,
Middle Island Primark.
Tremendous.
I'll be there.
He's there.
So a couple of things to pick up on there. Yeah. I would very much like to get the abs in order to be able to show them off, and I don't think I'm going to get those in the middle aisle of Lidl.
Not Lidl. Lidl aisle. Carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, the Iron Man thing is a bit of a stretch, but I do have the Iron Man glasses case from the reading bins. And I did consider actually getting out on the paddleboard on Friday and indeed Saturday, but neither happened just because I was too busy doing other things. But it is approaching that kind of weather. I've turned the heating off already, so that's it. Winter done officially.
Good lad.
And in fact, this time next week, Monday, Tuesday, it's supposed to be about 20 degrees.
I believe so.
It's getting warm, and it's getting close to me being on the board on the river.
Paddleboard season.
Indeed.
Is there a better season? That's what people are asking themselves. We've done very well to stay away from football for the opening 5 minutes, but let's get it out the way. Dave, as we expected, it will be a tough game at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
Everton were beaten 2-0. It could have been a lot more if it wasn't for Jordan Pickford. Quite clearly England's number one, regardless of the faux polls and arguments that take place on Twitter about Aaron Ramsdale and him. But I don't know about you, Dave, but me and Ped, we've done all the stuff yesterday, the post stuff. The results aside, because you can lose games when you play brilliantly, and we've lost many at Old Trafford when we've been good, bad and indifferent. But we were a bit disappointed by the performance, not the result, if that makes sense. Obviously, you're disappointed when you lose a game, but it was the nature in which we lost it, which was a bit we felt was a bit disappointing.
I'd agree with you. And I think we have been under Sean Dyche. We've been hard to beat of late. and hard to play against. And I thought that on Saturday we weren't hard to play against particularly. And that was the disappointing thing. I actually, weirdly, I quite fancied us on Saturday, and I don't know why, but I did quite fancy us in terms of recent form, and I thought we might just nick something there. But as you said, if it weren't for heroics from Jordan Pickford, who I thought was outstanding in the first half, it could have been a lot worse. I thought United were better than us in every department, to be honest with you, on the whole balance of things. But yeah, it was disappointing when you compare it to how Everton have been of late, and I just didn't think it was quite up to their recent form. And for that, it's disappointing. But my take on the whole thing is just quite simple. And I think, from what you said before, I think we're all of the same mentality. It's one of those, chalk it off, move on. It's done. There's no shame in losing 2-0 at Old Trafford for anybody. And I think, it's just one of those. We move on, and we have to look at Fulham and Palace now, where we really need some points.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was it. I just expected us. I fancied us to get a draw, to be honest. I just thought we're nice and solid.
Hard fought one each.
Yeah. We'll make it difficult for them, because I was thinking the cup tie where they did beat us, but that was quite a tight game, really, and at a time when we were wide open. And I just wondered if, with the way we've been playing of late, we could go there and stay in the game and nick. And to be honest, Jordan Pickford did keep us in the game massively, but we were so open, one ball over the top, and they were through on Pickford all the time. But
and that was the thing, is that you knew save after save after save from Pickford. You knew that he can only keep doing this so long.
Yeah.
Or rather, it's only a matter of time before they get their break. Because you're right, they were so open, and he was offered no protection whatsoever, really, for large parts of that. And then McTominay got his goal, and it's just I didn't think we were hard to play against on Saturday, and that was disappointing. I fancied us to get something, but it wasn't to be. So that's that done.
No, you're right. I mean, it is a case of moving on, Ped, and it was a poor performance, wasn't it? And we're hoping that there tended to be a response after the couple of other like Anfield. There was a response after that. There was a response after Arsenal, albeit we drew at Forest, but we should have put that game to bed. And that we need a response this week against Fulham, don't we?
Yeah, I very much was expecting a hammering. I must admit, I was really dreading this game. And I've been quite all right about games recently, but I was expecting us to get absolutely smashed. Yeah, honestly, because I just don't think we've got any attacking threat. I know, but I just don't think we've got any attacking threat, Dave. And I just think Manchester United is the kind of place that you I don't know. We've seen this. I've seen this a million times where you either set up and you defend, and you sort of sit there thinking, well, we're in for a rough ride because we're not putting a glove on them, or we do this, which is the other way, which we were wide open. And I just didn't expect anything from the game, and to be honest, I was quite relieved. And that's a sad indictment, isn't it? Of like, we can all get caught up in how well we're doing under Sean Dyche, but we are crap. Like, we're genuinely crap all over the pitch. We're just getting through. No, we are though. I think we convinced ourselves that we're actually a decent side, and we're not. We're rubbish. I think we're rubbish, and I just think that what we've become is organised, and I think we've got everyone's working really hard. I think that's a big thing to get you away from or try and get you away from the bottom and pick up points, because there's so many bad teams down there. But you look at Palace and you look what Hodgson's done in a couple of games. He's harnessed all his attacking talent, and I just think that shows you what good experienced managers can do. And this one, as I said, I was really worried, but I honestly did not expect us to be like that on Saturday. Even in my worst nightmares, that I expect us to be that bad.
You want them to work for the goals, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you want.
And we were cut open, as you said, with a long ball every time. It's just like, really? You're the master of, like, the dark arts and defending and all this, and I didn't get it. And you just go, that's done now. Move on to the next one. That one shouldn't have. And I can't imagine it will.
No,
because they're professional footballers, and you just have to say that was that day, and we move on to the next one. And I'm sure the manager took a lot of responsibility for it.
Dave, if you're looking at like a positive from the weekend, though, was that we just come out of a set of tough games. I mean, he's had. We were saying yesterday, he's had Arsenal twice, Liverpool. Chelsea, Manchester United and Tottenham in his first 10 games as Everton manager. So to us to come out of this weekend and not be in the bottom three, I think that, to me, I looked and thought, I've looked at it. I mean, on Saturday it was a bit.
I mean, albeit on goal difference.
Well, but still not there, are we? So that's the way to look at it. And we're now, like you just said, we're going into 2 games against Fulham and Palace. We got to get, we need at least 4 points from those 2 games, don't we? Well, we do, in my opinion, anyway.
No, I'd agree with you, and again, it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got to take 3 points against Fulham, but Palace away, will be tough.
Yeah, they've picked up.
But we're going to be reliant on other results again, for sure. But yeah, listen, it's we have to chalk it off. But as you say, I mean, he's Dyche has done well in terms of what he's done, given the the severity of the fixtures, as you point out. He's had a tough old start, and you look at the ones coming up now. There's no easy games, but, you would think that there's hopefully some points there somewhere. And hopefully we can just about keep our heads above the trapdoor.
Yeah.
But it is going to be reliant upon other people. And as I say, unlike you, Ped, I was more in Baz's camp on that. I didn't think that we were going to get a hammering. I thought, as I say, I thought maybe a hard 4-1 each, or, we might even just nick it. And, when you look at it as well, with that chance that Ellis Sims had on 19 minutes, if he got hold of that properly, which he didn't, I mean, his awful scuff. But if he got hold of that properly, then it could have been a different situation.
You never know, do you? Yeah, you never know. But it's
anyway,
gone. It's gone.
Wasn't to be.
Could be. Put it this way: we'd feel worse if we were like Leeds United, wouldn't we? Palace at home and a chance to go above them, and you get done 5-1.
Yeah, absolutely.
Things like that. So we've come out. We've got to come out of that and just go right. We've got 2 games now. That points are there. There's Palace will be tough. You're absolutely right, Dave. But I think this, it's a game. I'd put it this way: I'd rather play Crystal Palace away than like Manchester City, Liverpool, United, and all that. So
yeah, I mean we've got City coming, haven't we? But
yeah, but that's at home. But I mean, for an away, the away games coming up now. We've got Palace, Wolves, Leicester. Yeah. The points are there for Everton. It is in our hands, because if the results, if everyone matched the results, we wouldn't go down. So that's what we've got to do. It's the only way we can look at it now and take game by game. And I was nearly said something. Then there was a little bit of positive at the end of last. I'm not going to say it because I think last time he said it, he wasn't even near the squad, so I won't mention his name this week. But there you go. We will move swiftly on from that. But
what did you make of the Leicester appointment of Dean Smith, by the way? I'm not sure if I was a Leicester fan that would be giving me great hope.
No,
which is good for us.
Yeah. I'm not and I've got nothing against Dean Smith. I think
I haven't either, but
he's actually not a bad manager. But I think I watched the last 10 or 15 minutes of their game against Bournemouth on Saturday, and that was one. Talk about toxic when you talk about Everton. The players were getting older, the ball, and the fans were. It was mad. It was a real weird atmosphere. Will it give them a bounce? Who knows? It might do. Leeds had a bounce, didn't he, quickly from Gracia, but then that dissipated. I don't know whether that would have convinced me that we're going to stay up if it was Dean Smith coming in, but they probably had to do something, didn't he?
No, I could sit here and go, he's a terrible manager or this or that, but I'm not saying anything because he only asked that. He's got Shakespeare and he's got John Terry.
Yeah.
And he's got to try and shore up that defence, and if he can get a tune out of it, then they have got goal scorers. And it's just another thing put in the mix, isn't it? I think they had to do something. They were drifting after sacking Brendan Rodgers, and I think they've made their point to the end of the season. It's
He's got a nice easy start on Saturday anyway.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's one of those ones where it's a case of it almost gives them an extra week, doesn't it, to get everything right? Because
then if you go and get done 5, which they could easily, then that wrecks.
Does that make any difference though?
I think it
does. It though? Really? You know, I don't know if it does. If you're talking about going somewhere and there's absolutely no pressure on you to lose a game of football, there's nothing that could happen to them on Saturday that would make things worse. I don't think. I think it's a case of for them knuckling down. You know. And getting on with it, and it's just another thing to add to the mix. As I said before, we've seen what Roy Hodgson's done with Crystal Palace with their attacking talent, because they've got a lot of young attacking talent, and they just needed to go back to basics. And even if that's only a 2-3-4 game bump, a 2-3-4 game bump at this stage of the season is huge, absolutely huge. They can just give you that little bit of breathing room. You know, look at Palace now. Palace will be thinking 2 wins and they're safe. Whereas, 2 weeks ago, everyone was thinking they're on the way down. They're terrible. They've just gone to Leeds and beat them 5-1. So there's still a lot of twists and turns, and it is almost that thing when you look at the league at the moment and you think 1 week, there's a different team in the bottom 3, and then the following week it's a different team, and it's almost that thing of a game by game basis. And you almost, to me, it's that thing of like. You look at the fixtures and the teams are flip-flopping, and it's not even like this will sound stupid, but it's just whatever week it falls on. Do you know what I mean? And that final week could just be there could be a completely different bottom 3 to what we get at the beginning of the day, and that's what's so horrible.
Southampton are gone, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, but they are, but they're not. So they're not winning games of football, but there is that thing of just
they've got Palace at home Saturday. I think Palace will batter them, to be honest.
But then you could see Southampton beating them, though.
But Crystal Palace, like you've just said, look there and think, well, if we win this next one,
of course. But
if they win it, Southampton, they're virtually safe, I think, which helps us when we play them, because the point they might.
But I don't think anyone feels like they're gone, though, do they? Everyone feels like they're still in it with 8-9 games to go.
Well, Leicester have got City away, then Wolves at home.
Yeah.
So that's the one for them. Yeah. Wolves at home's a tough one. Yeah. But it's a one that they.
But we've got to go to Leicester as well.
Yeah.
And we've got to go to Palace, and we've got
Wolves,
and we've got to go to Wolves. So that's huge in that terms as well. And our away form is absolutely dreadful.
It is. But I still think we can. Their games we will go and hopefully get something out of. But we won't know, will we? We've just got to take it game by game, like you've said.
Yeah.
Dave, there was obviously, just moving away from Everton, but there was a lot of controversy over the weekend with decisions again, and particularly, but we won't, the Lions got a Lions and elbowing someone, which I think most of the country applauded.
You would, given who he elbowed.
He was.
I mean, I think everybody's behind that one. I mean, without being too personal, there was not. I can't think of anybody who I dislike more actually in the top flight than him.
He's weird.
I mean, he's just a horrible.
Even like Roy Keane's bit was funny. Like calling him a big baby. That's put out. That's better because it embarrasses the kid, which is good because his behaviour's a joke. He's not about winning. He is a joke. The fella, the way he carries on. But the Tottenham Brighton game
in the world.
yeah, he's not even the best left back in their club. You look at the stuff at Brighton weekend. I don't know whether you've seen it, Dave, but there was.
I didn't actually, to be fair.
Mate, honestly, 3 atrocious decisions went against Brighton.
I would say 4.
Or would you say 4?
I would say 4. I think all 4 were wrong.
They would say, honestly, real bad ones, Dave, where a lot of people are now questioning whether it's scripted, which is what it looks like. And then you had Peter Walton on Sky, on BT, and he's got Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton going through the things, and he basically come out with a line, which, I mean, I've known because Scudamore said this, Mark Halsey said it, basically the game, they're told who to make sure wins the games of football. And Walton basically said, yeah, well, some weeks you're told, like, you'll give them, and then other weeks you're told not to give them. And it's like, how can you be told 1 week to give a penalty to that team, and then the next week don't give it?
I don't think they were his exact words.
What was his words?
I think his words were...
Because I can get them.
No, I don't think his words were we give penalties 1 week and we don't give them another.
No,
but it wasn't that.
I'll get the...
I know, but I guarantee that's not what he said. He basically framed it as in how you check VAR. That's what he was referring to, I think. He was saying that some weeks we refer to VAR and some weeks we don't refer to VAR. That's what he was trying to get across. And he was talking to the wrong person.
Come out.
No, but that's as bad. But that's as bad. Because what he was saying was, the way we do things some week is we'll check VAR to see if a decision is right. And some weeks we'll leave it to the linesman or leave it to the referee. And that's just as bad as... cheating. That is cheating because that goes against the rules of the game.
That's what Sutton and
Robbie Savage. He was saying it to the wrong person. Yeah. He was saying it to Robbie Savage. So it was 2 penalties that were both blatant penalties, and it was 2 goals that were disallowed for Brighton. One, the lad controlled it, and you could clearly see that it was on his shirt,
shoulder, wasn't it?
So the t-shirt line. The linesman put his flag up for a handball, and because he put his flag up, they said that changes how they look at it. So it's then the VAR have to find a clear error, and the clear error was that it wasn't on ball. And then the next one was someone had a shot. It hit McAllister literally on his hip, went in. And they claimed that it was handball, even though it didn't hit his hand. And if it had hit his hand was literally touching his hip, and they disallowed it. And that was at 1-1. And I know both of the penalties were at 1-1 as well. And all of them are. I seen Match of the Day, and they sort of went, well, give them the benefit of the doubt. No, don't give them the benefit. They were all wrong. Yeah. They were all wrong. And as Baz said, Peter Walton came out during the BT thing and was like, oh, well, some weeks they'll check them and some weeks they don't. And then Robbie Savage said to him, is Howard Webb your mate? And he went, yeah. And he went, is that why you're letting him off? And he was like, well, yeah. And I was like, well, what's the point? What's the point? We've got experts who are mates with the people who are doing it.
So hang on. So what was said ultimately in terms of when they decide to check VAR and when they don't decide to check VAR is linked to or influenced by whatever the agenda is that they have been. Is that what's saying? Because if that is the case, then that obviously that ruins the integrity of all of the officials.
Well, that's what everybody is took from it.
But you've got to be careful what you've got to be careful is taking something you hear and making it what you want to hear. And what I'm saying is, so he didn't say we go by fixes. He just basically said he basically said some weeks we follow the protocol and some weeks we don't follow the protocol. But even that, at its basic level, is wrong. Because if you're... that goes back to that thing that we used to have at the beginning of the season when a new rule comes in, jostling in the box. First couple of weeks there's a penalty. And then they get sick of it and then they go, nah, we're not doing that anymore.
World Cup,
but so to decide that some weeks you're going to follow the VAR protocol and some weeks you're not, it shows how that to me, you don't need to bring in conspiracy theories. He said it. He has said it.
No, but I haven't broken.
No.
My stuff comes from when Scudamore said we have to have Manchester United in the top 4. And the next season, he was given 15 penalties to ensure.
Of course.
It's a disaster if they're not in. We have to find ways to get them in.
I think when Scudamore was saying it, he was saying it on we need, as in Manchester United, for the good of the league. And yes, and then you see what transpires. But I think, again, with this, he was saying, well, we don't follow the protocols. And it doesn't matter about anything else. It doesn't matter what games they're in. Every game is important.
My big thing here is, forget about, even take the conspiracies away, which, I mean, I believe a lot of it's scripted anyway, because it's like anything. If you've got something that's going to get loads of clicks, you create something that gets you loads of clicks. And the Premier League is one big click on a higher level. More eyes, the bigger teams finish at the top end, more interest, blah, blah, blah. So they want them teams. They want Spurs representing them in the Champions League rather than Brighton. So therefore Spurs are going to get the decision. It works I've seen lots of people have said it this week, even people who support the big teams have come out and gone, this is a disgrace, what's going on? More and more are seeing it. But forget even taking all that and parking that over to the side and going, well, it might be, it mightn't be. Put that to one side. My issue, and I don't know about you, Dave, with VAR is A referee or a linesman can make an incorrect decision in the heat of the moment. You see how quick the game is. They can miss giving a penalty or they can whatever. But those fellas who get the benefit of looking at the incident on a TV shouldn't make mistakes. There shouldn't be any mistakes. Now, what they should do, instead of looking for clear and obvious errors, which is nonsense, and looking at ways to disallow goals, which is what they do. They're looking for offside, so they'll look at it for 3 minutes to come up with a way to say, well, his left toenail might have been, a millimetre offside. They should look at, like, the Brighton stuff at the weekend. The minute you see the replay, the Matoma one especially, the lad takes him out.
Both of them,
he takes him out, right?
Penalties.
They should look at that and go to the referee. Go and look at the monitor. It's a penalty because he's caught. Go and have a look yourself. And that referee who is in control of that game should therefore go over, especially for things like the game-changing moments, aren't they? A goal, a penalty. Go over and have a look. And if you look at it again and go, no, I'm still not comfortable that that's a penalty, don't give it. That's fine. But at least the referee's gone and got involved. That at the weekend was terrible. It was terrible. I watched... I seen it the other way on Saturday night. I was watching DC United against Columbus Crew, and Columbus Crew got a penalty. The referee went and looked at it, and it looked like the VAR were convincing the ref that it was a penalty.
Yeah.
And you looked at it and you couldn't quite see the contact. And I was thinking, if it isn't obvious to look at, not whether it's an error, if it isn't obvious to look at when you look at it, you should. That to me isn't a foul. If you nudge me, because like I've seen a lot of people say Damari Gray's one, Harry Maguire on Damari Gray was a penalty on Saturday because he shoved them over. I didn't think it was a pen. I thought it would have been soft if Everton would have been given that penalty. But that will be given as a penalty other weeks.
Yeah.
You see, personally, I mean, call me a Luddite and everything like that, but I was never particularly in favour of VAR anyway, and still aren't, and was quite happy with, decisions being made based upon, human judgment, and sometimes you get them right, sometimes you get them wrong, but at least you would hope that it's the same level playing field for everybody, and always has been. And I can live with human error, and you look at things back and go, oh, do you know what, actually he got that right or he got that wrong, but they even themselves out over the course of a season. But, now when you've got a situation where VAR can be used to potentially, as is being suggested, almost give them a reason for not allowing something, then it's a worry, and it changes what's happening. Do you want me to play this Chris Sutton clip that you sent me?
No, you can just look at it.
Oh no, I didn't know whether you wanted to illustrate.
We don't want copyright, do we? Copyright.
What you mean? We don't want BT Sport on our ass because we haven't actually asked permission to use the clip?
Exactly. Yeah, and there's no, BT, fair play, great channel, great channel.
Well, it won't be BT Sport for much.
It won't be, but there you go. Yeah,
I think it can work though, Dave. And I think in the World Cup it shows it works. I think we are just massively getting it wrong because there's too many different things colliding. There's too many egos. There's too many people who know each other. The whole VAR thing I think is wrong because the guy upstairs doesn't want to upset his mate downstairs. There's too much going on. I think you need people in the VAR room who've played football, who understand it, who've been trained as referees, but have come out League 2. League 1, they've got mortgages to pay, they go and get new jobs and they do it properly. I think people who understand the game, I just don't think referees will ever understand the game of football. They don't understand what's a foul. We talked last week about Harry Kane and the stuff he gets away with because referees don't understand the mentality of footballers. And I think it can be used for good. Don't get me wrong, I've always been in favour of it, but it does take away. It would, like yesterday watching the Wrexham game and the last minute penalty, I bet if VAR would have made them retake that penalty, because I imagine Ben Foster was somehow off his line somehow, because you know what I mean. Yeah. And that's where VAR wrong. That's the new one. VAR does sort of impede on the on those moments of joy, and where you look back and go, oh, he was offside there or something. But in football, you need those moments sometimes. So I do get that, but it can work. We have seen it can work, and the VAR, the World Cup VAR was a perfect example of that. But I always thought, Dave, and this is maybe where I was naive. I always thought that it would shine a massive spotlight on the issues of referees, but we just have this thing now where on a Monday morning, the PGML, whatever, just issue apology, and that's it. And yet,
at the apology.
Going back full circle, there's a huge furore about this guy being suspended for suspected, elbowing Robinson.
Who grabbed him, by the way.
Well, there's no clear evidence he did, and surely. I mean, yes, I understand that. That shouldn't happen.
No, you don't do.
But at the same time, you've got these decisions week in and week out, which people just get away with it. Like the guy who was in the VAR booth on Saturday, or the referee, should be suspended for weeks because they've
without pay.
That's a disgrace. What they've done is awful. And it's happening week in, week out.
On the Robertson thing, he grabbed the lad. I'm not defending the lads who shouldn't have elbowed.
Self-defense.
I thought it was self-defense.
I think it's self-defense.
But
if someone walked up to you in the street and grabbed you,
yeah, you'd go.
And
like
Andy
that.
Robinson should know, because a pitch invader come in and slid on him and nearly took him out a few weeks ago.
Did he? Well, there you go. So I was just showing you that's what happens. That's what can happen. But there you go. The sooner the AI offside comes in, the better, though. Take
AI, full stop. AI everything. Just everything.
ChatGPT everything.
Yeah.
Do that.
Chat Ned.
Yes, Ned. Replace Ned. Move away from footy. That was far too long. I was taking... It's half term, isn't it? Well, it's not half term. It's end of term. It's Easter holidays. And I was dropping me missus and me little fella off and his mate off at... Albert Dock this morning. He was going to, there's an indoor fair at the M&S Arena or something. They were going there. And I've put a thing in our group that this is how, if you ever order from Just Eat.
Yeah.
I think it was Just Eat.
I'm an Uber Eats man myself.
Well, they're available as well. Well, just have a look in the group, because this is what I was confronted with this morning.
Hang on, you want me to have a look in our group now?
Have a look in our group now.
Yeah.
This was how the Just Eat fella was riding his bike.
This ain't great for the podcast, this.
No, well, let's put it on the screen.
Okay.
So it's on the screen. This is how the fella, now that Zach took a picture out the window on the videoed them tomorrow, that's a screen grab it, but that's how the fella was cruising down to the Albert Dock.
What's he standing on?
Oh, just on his bike. Just on the frame of his bike. Freewheeling.
He must have like ballet toes.
He was unbelievable.
That's an accident waiting to happen.
Exactly, and you know, so if you're in the Liverpool area today and you get your food and it's all over the gaff, that's why, because your fella's basically just freewheeling. Your food could be anywhere.
Surely
that's not advice. I mean, I'm not going to try that anytime soon.
No, don't try it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Actually, he is like. Do you think he's like he paddleboards in the summer and he's just getting his stance right?
I don't know.
Maybe. I mean,
go on, Dave.
He must have very, very small and particular toes, though, as you point out, in order to actually get that kind of purchase on that frame.
Fair play.
Is quite a skill, and certainly something that I'm not going to be trying.
No,
I think my stunt days are over, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but fair play. I had to bring it to the attention. I could
have
seen practicing for Cirque du Soleil. He wants to.
I could have seen Dave on Kickstart in the 80s.
Kickstart in the 80s. Oh,
what a classic program that was!
Loved Kickstart.
Let's let a load of 8-year-olds on motorbikes go out in a big wood and just watch them. And if they fall off and hurt themselves, so be it. It's our entertainment.
I used to watch Kickstart, and I had a rally striker at the time, and so as soon as the program had finished, I would go out, and where my grandma lived on the Wirral, she had this sort of slightly stepped garden, and there was like quite a big step down, and then there was another one, and then at the bottom there was this kind of little sort of vegetable patch. So you had to do a bit like Kickstart. You had to kind of sort of shunt your way back,
like bunny hop around.
Yeah, but sort of bunny hop backwards. And then, that was my little Kickstart course. And as soon as, as I say, as soon as the program had finished, I couldn't wait to get out and then get back on my rally striker and do. I loved that program.
Yeah. If anyone doesn't know what Kickstart was, it was literally like 12-year-old boys on motorbikes on little courses, and they had to like go up like little wooden planks and seesaws and then bunny hop over things, and
Couldn't do it now.
You couldn't
health and
do it
safety
now.
gone mad. Health and safety gone mad.
BBC probably wouldn't have the budget for it now.
No.
They've cut that much.
But it is health and safety gone mad. You know what? Kids on motorbikes in woods. Why are people worried?
Yeah.
Incredible.
It'd be like electric bikes now, wouldn't it?
Simpler times. Simpler times. But
I still, you know, but because of some of the stuff that I watch on Instagram, which is normally car and motorbike bases, I still get sent stuff. You know, it is honestly, I get sent stuff like that, and guys on trial bikes getting over oil drums and all sorts of stuff. I mean, it still exists. I don't know how old they are. They're probably, you know, older than the 8, 9-year-olds.
The 12-year-olds from Kickstart.
Maybe
just about 40 odd having a go.
Classic. It was classic. Like it probably must have came out of remember grandstands used to be on all Saturday afternoon, and they'd have to fill in, wouldn't they? And then the same with Worldwide the Sport on ITV. They'd have to now we bring you the most exciting balloon race. You know, hot air balloon
Nicky
race.
Davis.
It was like they had to fill. They must have had a huge catalogue of sports, like dodgeball and stuff and just go. We've got 15 minutes. What are we going to do? I don't know. Let's put the emu racing on from some.
He done it though, didn't he?
And
they filled the program.
Somebody did
Fair
it.
play.
I mean, but there was a similar situation of filling yesterday. I don't know whether any of you had the joy of watching any daytime telly yesterday, because yesterday obviously felt like a Sunday, but it wasn't a Sunday. It was a Monday. Is when you go and try and put Sunday brunch on and it's not on. Then this morning was on, and they had Craig Doyle and Josie Gibson. Is it the Bristol woman who was in Big Brother?
From Big Brother,
and it was just, I mean, honestly, they had a whole thing on sleep deprivation, which wasn't fascinating, and then they had the world's most talented duck. It was Bildaz. Sorry, no pun with the Bildaz, but you know what I mean.
That's tremendous, Dave.
And so you had at one point
Is he more talented than Scrooge McDuck?
No.
Did he have talent?
I don't know.
Where did he make his money from?
Well, he clearly did have talent because he had a lot of money.
But where did he make the money? I just think he got half his dad.
I don't know.
Scrooge McDuck Senior.
Maybe.
You had this duck who was then running away from Craig Doyle, who was then on his hands and knees chasing this duck around the studio on AstroTurf, going through those sort of little polytunnel things, like they have at Crofts, not Croft. And it was just, I just watching it, just thinking,
what's happening?
I can't believe that this is on primetime TV. And I've got nothing against Craig Doyle. No. I think he's decent, but I just think that he'll look back on that, and I'm not sure that it's going to make his career show real.
Yeah, who's Craig Doyle?
Was he started off, I'm sure it was on The Holiday. Remember The Holiday?
He was. Yeah.
And he's trying to sell me windows.
Sell your windows.
Yes, he did the Everest advert.
Yeah, Everest advert.
I know.
I
see what annoys me. I know what I really hate.
What annoys you about Craig Doyle?
No, not about Craig Doyle.
Like a nice fella.
Fine man.
Yeah.
I just
He's a nice man.
Need triple glazing.
No. Not for 45
Remember those adverts where they used to open the windows and it'd be dead loud and then shut them?
And then he goes, it's like,
buy one. Get one.
There's a helicopter outside.
Yeah,
I mean, where's a bleeding helicopter landing?
That was, I don't know. Watch the helicopter take off and land yesterday. It was good.
Okay.
Remember that though? Back we used to have Easter Monday, you'd put BBC One on and it'd be Disney Time and all films and stuff like that. Now they just fill it with Bargain Hunt and whatever other shite on a Monday.
Well, we would saw
what's happened.
Well, there's no effort made for that special day, is there? I think no.
Saying to Zach, because obviously Wrexham play Friday and then we're playing Monday games. I was like, that's what that before the Premier League, or probably in the Premier League at the start of it, and then it moved away from it. We always played Saturday and then Easter Monday, didn't you? That was like the Christmas. They were like the Easter.
You used to always say Easter Major, didn't it?
Yeah,
that was like the making.
Because of the games could turn 2 days, so it's incredible times. Last week we went into it right at the very end. We were asked about chocolate, weren't we? Remember?
Yeah.
Different kinds of chocolate. I've got some questions from our Premier subscribers. I'll read them out in a minute. But we were on to it last week, and we came on to Toffee crisps, didn't we? And we were finishing. I don't think the Toffee crisp discussion. We didn't.
You held it back. In fact, I remember myself and Ped both commented on the fact that it would warrant it would go down as a cliffhanger in many ways.
Yeah. So let's go back to it. I mean, there is. We'll discuss the Toffee crisp qualities right now, and then we'll discuss what should be really what you'd find in like more like a selection box rather than you'd go into a shop to purchase. It might be the only time of the year that you eat. So Toffee Crisp, just to go back to it, they were underrated, I think, as a bar. Would you call it a bar?
Yeah, I would call it a bar.
Yeah, I think so.
They were. I think, me personally, I think that's underrated for the value that you get. You're getting that bit of chocolate.
Yeah.
You're getting the crisp, hence and the bit of toffee, hence the toffee crisp.
What created the crisp?
Like Rice Krispies, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is exactly like that, like Rice Krispies.
So I mean,
but coated.
Were toffee crisp underrated for you, Dave, when you think about it, or overrated in some respects, or just rated?
Well, interesting question. Thank you, Barry. So for me, it was one of those whereby there was something of a Renaissance chocolate, I would say, because it was one that I hadn't had for a long, long time, maybe harking back to my childhood. And then I rediscovered the Toffee Crisp about 3 or 4 years ago in miniature form, because they were kids' pack lunch staples in our house. So they used to kind of kick around, and I was a bit like, oh, I'll try one of these again. And I thought, actually, and as you've already suggested, it's an underrated chocolate bar, and to the point where I would then go and buy them myself. So impressed was I by the miniatures, which were kind of sort of sparked my taste buds, and I would then go and buy them. So I think that they are much underrated, and I don't think that they get the respect that they deserve in that world. And I would also suggest maybe in that category and bracket is the Lion Bar.
I was going to say about the Lion Bar, so go on, discuss, Dave.
I think the Lion Bar also wouldn't probably feature in many people's top 5 or top 10. I think it's often overlooked.
Do you remember the adverts? They break it and it's raw.
No,
like
I was going to say the Toffee Crisp benefited from a good advertising campaign, because if you remember, there was all people sitting around having a séance. And the Toffee Crisp came.
The Toffee Crisp wrapper.
And then there was another one with Paul Brown, who used to be in Watching. Remember him?
Paul Brown.
Yeah. And he's at a cash point, and he's waiting. And as he's waiting, as you do, the queue gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And he starts getting that worrying feeling because the queue, and he's
big,
and instead of money coming out,
spits Toffee Crisp.
And then I've just found another one from 1990. Which was a Toffee Crisp advert, which featured David Jason and Rolf Harris, and we'll never speak of it ever again.
No, let's leave it there.
I'm just
two little boys in that.
Now, I mean,
sorry.
In a way of getting us off that potentially difficult platform that you've just plonked us on. Were Lion Bar and Toffee Crisp both made by Nestle?
No, Roundtree's Lion Bar, wasn't it?
Oh, okay.
The other thing, wasn't it, when you go back to selection boxes, it was that thing of whichever selection box you got, whether it be a Nestle, who I think when I was a kid were quite like posh, Roundtree, or obviously Cadbury, that might sort of
determine what
box, and you may only get that chocolate once a year because you got it in your selection box. These were the problems we had.
These were. I mean, they're not minefield.
They're not quite coal in your stocking, but they are.
There was a selection box, and I don't know whether can you say it in a disparaging way? Will that get us into? There was one that begins with K, which is the worst chocolate ever. Something like wasn't kinetic. Obviously, it's an energy type.
You mean Easter eggs that you always used to get in a mug?
Yeah, like a Jag one made by someone with a K.
Yeah.
Oh my God, their chocolate was terrible. Yeah. That was like the Cuckoo Martina of selection boxes.
But the mugs were good, though. I've still got my Buffy the Vampire Slayer mug.
They put all the effort into the mug. The chocolate was just an afterthought. But I wasn't happy with that.
In more positive news, I would say, and this is quite the compliment, I think, but deserved in my opinion. I think that Cadbury's is the finest chocolate in the entire world, and I would put it over Swiss chocolate, Belgian chocolate, or any of those European chocolates. I think it is the best, personally.
Well,
and if you look now, is that Peter is displaying these with a plum.
He's got a couple with a plum. What a word!
They are actually gifts for Bash.
The gifts for me. It's a Cadbury's dairy milk mint crisp. I've not heard of that one before.
Well, that's because
I'm not sure about that.
Tremendous.
Well, no, Dave. I will tell you why. I'll tell you what. These are the second time. Just to make the story, this is the second time these chocolate bars have been in the studio. The first time Baz didn't feel like eating them that day, so left them for a couple of days, and then they strangely disappeared out the studio. And we were later told by Ned that, well, no one was eating them, so I ate them.
I took them home,
which I honestly think if my missus ever meets him in a dark alley, he's going to have the shit kicked out of him.
Done. Yeah.
So they were actually, these are Irish. This is Irish dairy milk Cadbury's. And I'm going to tell you now, Dave, if you like dairy milk, wait till you try the Irish stuff. It is unbelievable.
Well, what's the difference, Peter? Please explain.
The milk is the difference. The milk is the difference coming from the Irish cows. Okay. Honestly, the taste is, it's beautiful.
I'm looking forward.
It is beautiful.
The taste test.
It is beautiful.
The mink.
But I got loads of. They were really nice. He says, were they? Were they really nice?
Were they? Yes.
I got loads of chocolate for Easter, and I'm not going to eat it because I find myself not eating chocolate anymore.
Yeah, that's because of me. Because of Lent. Lent starts you off and you go past
anymore. I'll eat all the Haribo.
I haven't. I've not eaten a single chocolate egg this Easter so far.
Me too.
My daughter has got 2. She's got a Cadbury's Whisper one downstairs, and she's also got. I can't remember what the other one is. It's one of those European chocolates.
Chocolate eggs anyway, Dave. You should be eating your own.
No, and that's the thing. And much as I could do, because actually she doesn't know about the Whisper one yet, and she doesn't listen to this podcast. So I could, if I wanted to, I could eat her Cadbury's Whisper one and then just give her the other one, which I don't fancy as much, and she would be happy with that. But then I would then feel partially guilty all week, and I'm not going to do that, or certainly not this early into the week. Ask me on Thursday when I'm fancying it a bit more.
When it's been sitting there looking,
might have more of a chance.
But I got a big bar, like a big proper bar of Toblerone. But I've already got a big proper bar of Toblerone. I think what happened is my mum went somewhere and she bought 2, and she kept one behind. And she was like, "I'll give him that one now, and I'll give him this one for Easter."
Because she knows.
I think she went on. I even eaten at the first one. I've still got an Easter egg in my house from 3 years ago.
Why?
Genuinely, because it's a fancy one, and I can't just throw it away. But
they go grey though.
I know.
The chocolate goes grey.
No, it's a Marks and Spencer's one, mate.
You should just go grey. That's it.
I don't eat chocolate. I just don't. I've stopped eating chocolate. But it's that thing where people keep buying it, and I'm just like, no, you just like, don't get me anything.
I do like a little bit of chocolate. I can't deny that. And that's why I give it up for Easter. Yeah. And I had a bit of dairy milk yesterday while I was watching Wrexham.
Fair play to you.
So I'm not going to lie over that.
Fair play.
Got some questions. Like I said, this discussion I think needs bush in it as well. I'm interested.
We need a taste test. I think what we all need to do is get a particular chocolate, all of us have it at the same time, and do a little taste test
and discuss
it.
Interesting.
Well, let's maybe do that next week, and we can put that down as a bit of planning.
That's it. Yeah, be the first bit of planning.
No one can tell that. What are you trying to say?
I mean, it would qualify as preparation. That would
absolutely, Dave. 100% preparation for us. Jack A says, "Who's your greatest sportsman ever?"
Blimey.
So if you stay away from football, I imagine.
Greatest sportsman.
It's a difficult one, that though, isn't it?
Because qualify, like really, people like Daley Thompson should.
Well, that's who I'm thinking as well.
I mean, great at everything.
Heptathleans are and the Catholics are unbelievable because they're. But to me, are they not the Phil Nevilles of the sports world? Are they're all right at lots of different things, but they're not amazing at one. Do you know what I mean? Like, because if Daley Thompson went and had the 100 metres race, he'd get destroyed probably by about 25 people. Well, he would now.
He would
probably more.
Yeah.
But doing them all, it's a difficult one, isn't it? It really is.
Like we all had Daley Thompson in the forefront of our mind there.
The backflip, the old backflip,
and the smile.
Yeah. So man, what a guy! Nice, seems a lovely fella.
A nice fella.
Another fella who benefited from shaving his moustache off.
Yeah,
made him look younger.
Yes, and the same with Nigel Mansell
and Lionel Richie,
Nigel Martin as well.
Yeah,
they're all
and James
Souness, yeah, but then he just becomes Mick Furnable says
we haven't answered it.
Oh, go on, yeah,
we haven't answered the question.
We discussed. Who have you gone? But like tennis players play tennis for like 5 hours.
Okay, I'm going to go for Michael Jordan.
Okay, interesting. Dave,
I'm going to stick with Daley Thompson. I can't think of anybody I can think of who deserves it more.
I'm going to go for Roger Federer. There you go.
Fair play.
There you go. But Daley Thompson was the first name.
Yeah, he was the first person I thought of.
Mick Furnivall says maybe a boring one, but who are your favourite musicians? Just go to Dave for this. Your favourite musicians, Dave?
That is a tough one, but I'll tell you my favourite drummer, only because I was having this conversation the other day, and as the son of a drummer, it's always an instrument that I like to focus upon, and that would be Stuart Copeland from The Police.
Tremendous. Who's your favourite musician? If you had one of all time, do that, because you can name 25.
McCartney.
Paul McCartney.
You can't get better than McCartney.
Yeah. Sound. Okay.
Maybe.
Ned's, yeah. Well, Ned said Paul McCartney couldn't teach him anything, didn't he?
No.
Matt Symes says, is there such a thing as a bad pint? Can a single pint ruin your day?
Yeah.
After the other 6 were perfectly fine?
No, yeah.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, and people always talk about, you must have had a bad pint or something like that. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one, but you can. I mean, I've had pints where it's the bottom of the barrel or something like that, and it comes out all cloudy, and you're a bit like, no, you can do another one of those. Yeah, you can have that one back. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think you can. If you the wrong timing.
Okay. If you could, this is off Danny. If you could get up to 1 million subs for the show, I mean, it'd be tremendous. By appearing on one of the following, we'd nominate Dave or Bush for this one quite clearly. What would you choose? Swamp people catching alligators, or snakes, or deadliest catch in winter with a foot of ice on your boat?
I'm going to go for the deadliest catch.
Really?
Yeah, I am. I'm not. The other one, I don't like the idea of one of those things killing me, but I think the cold one, if you look after yourself, wrap up, get some nice mittens, I think, get some decent footwear. That's important on an icy boat. I think you'll be all right. It'll be short. It's a short-term thing, whereas being inside an alligator isn't a short-term thing.
No.
Well, I mean, it can be a short-term thing.
Yeah,
I mean, it depends how snappy it is. Yeah. But again, no pun intended. I think also I've realised, and this is a statement that I've never made, even in private, never made on a public forum. But I quite like fishing-based programs, and I don't mean kind of like gone fishing with rods and nets. I mean stuff that involves, fishing boats and trawlermen and people like that. I watch these things.
Or salt of the sea.
Yeah, and I do. I find that I enjoy it. So I'm. Like Peter said, I'm going to go for the deadliest catch. Option B, please. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll go for that one. I thought you meant Blake Fishing with Robson Green, and I was going to say, come on, Dave. Peter says it saw the Bushmobile in Hartlepool.
Sorry?
Or Bushmobile, what is it? I don't know. Bushmobile, Bushmobile, don't know. Have a photo, but how do I upload it?
Does he?
I don't know.
Does he mean that maybe he saw a car with a registration that could have possibly been Bush's?
Maybe.
So maybe
Peter, upload it.
BU 54, maybe.
Maybe. Well,
you know what I mean?
If Peter,
would that work?
Gets that and gets it uploaded, we will discuss next week when the Bush is back if he was actually not doing the
so many connotations
because he was driving around.
Well, there's so many connotations if you're talking about the Bushmobile, isn't there?
There's a lot.
I suspect it was BU 54 NOB is the registration that this guy saw.
Bush,
and if he sends us a picture, then we can.
Fair play. We can clarify that. Yeah. Stuart Thompson says, why does the public pay for the bank's mistakes? Hence retirement age going up from 65 to 67 and 8. Should we just sack all the governments and start again? That's a very complex question.
That's a question that, I wasn't expecting.
No, I wasn't expecting it, following on from Bush and from the deadliest catch.
Yeah.
This is what happens. Variety. I can't answer, Stuart, personally, why it's been decided that the public pay for banks' mistakes. I get your point, and I agree. Yes, we should sack all the governments and start again. There needs to be a total restructuring of government.
We have a corrupt society, and we as
start with the Premier League.
We as people pay for it because we don't stand up for ourselves, and that's the top and bottom of it.
Okay,
I think maybe to move the subject onto something that we perhaps understand slightly better.
Yeah,
is that what I do like about this is the fact that if this was in France, and indeed it was recently, because they obviously kicked off about this, is I like the fact that the French, if they're not happy, they just riot.
Yeah.
And there's times when only a good riot will solve issues, and I don't think we do it enough.
You're absolutely right. There's too much.
I don't think we do it enough.
There's too much in this country.
There's too much kind of like, that's fine.
We see this in the football all the time.
Yeah.
We see this in the football all the time. Two people come together and you go, we don't like to see that. Yes, we do. When Tuchel had the fight with Conte, it was brilliant. There's too much. They go on about the snowflake generation in this country, and the people who are supposed to be our people who are supposed to fight for us just sit there and go, this is great, isn't it? The interest rate's gone up to 5%. What should we do? Pour me another cup of tea. Let's fucking should be on the streets kicking off, having murder. Nothing is ever.
But I mean, especially.
Go on, Dave.
If ever there was a time to be doing it, though, with that whole bloody PPE scandal and all the corruption from the government, there should have been national riots.
People going to jail.
Honestly,
there was no money at once. There was no money to give nurses, doctors, pay rises.
On strike today.
I
seen a pay slip. They earn about the same as Ned.
I went past the women's hospital before, give them the answers. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, they're all outside with the plaque.
That's no reason to do that.
What I'm saying is He wouldn't give them a pay rise, but then he could find 110 million for PV that didn't exist.
No, I was something miss about this last. I said to my missus, "Are we getting a bank holiday for the King's coronation?" And she went, "Yeah." I went, "Okay." Yeah. And then someone said to her in work, I see you're happy taking. My missus got an Irish passport. You're happy taking the day off, aren't you? Because it's the King's coronation. And she went, "Yeah, I'm what?" And I was like, so it's fine that we get a bank holiday. Why can't we have a bank holiday anyway? So they throw out the bank holidays for when the Queen or the King or whatever. Why can't we have them anyway?
That is mad.
Let them eat cake.
Mark says, who's your favourite terrible Everton player of all time? For example, a Strack ran around like a headless chicken and we loved him, but he was terrible.
Probably
Red Angel.
Probably the Strack, but probably the Strack because he actually did something with his terribleness. No, he was genuinely terrible. But he knew he was terrible, and he just worked his ass off and had that one chance and scored in a couple of games. But there's some people who genuinely are terrible, who think they're brilliant, and have took the money and just sat there for years. So fair play to him for that.
Humanias.
Yeah, lad couldn't jog around the centre circle.
Couldn't. He jogged round the centre circle.
I tell you what,
with
though,
an Everton top and a pair of jeans.
Tell you what, though.
Big goals.
He offers more attacking threat than we have at the minute.
I know.
He does. Let's not move on.
Undoubtedly.
Let's not move on to him.
He is one of the greatest tales, though, isn't he? He's got to be one of the greatest.
The greatest bit of that was it Bournemouth? Was it we did
Koeman
put him on you. Bournemouth game when we were getting beat 1-0 and he come on and got the two.
You watch some stories.
Koeman.
You watch films or TV and you think this is just too far fetched. And yet his story was a player who allegedly won the Player of the Year in Russia. He did in some lad in his bedroom. Give me basically on a Twitter vote. We paid 13 million for him when we could have had so many better players.
Dembele for half the price that day.
He basically was hid for 2 months because they realised how terrible he was and said he had a wrist injury. Frozen out the sea. Comes on in his first game. Didn't have a clue. We were 2-0 up against West Ham. End up getting beat 3-2. And then he gets... Koeman does probably the right thing and said, listen, you're awful. Forced into bringing him back. Yeah. And he scores the 2 massive goals on the day to get us the win over Bournemouth.
He got us some big goals.
And then he leaves us and ends up playing a couple of bit. Where is he at the moment? Burton. He's gone from Burton. He's at Fleetwood now, is he? Or Morecambe? Morecambe. And he's terrible.
But don't forget, at Hull, he did score against Manchester United and Liverpool.
He did, on loan, yeah.
So he did score. He come back and scored goals. And his story was unbelievable, really. And then people realised he wasn't the best, and off he went again. Right, race through these. Not So Purple Aki, great name, says, I live in Solihull and Birmingham often claims to be Britain's second city. No. I call bollocks on this, though, because it's only claims claims is based on geography. Yeah. I'd say Manchester has a better claim, and as a Scouser myself, that's hard to say, but just keeping it real. So Brum or Manchester is said as the second city. Which one?
Manchester. I've never been to Birmingham in my life, other than to watch Everton play.
Okay. Yeah.
I've never been to... What is there to go to Birmingham for? No. There's not even Peaky Blinders is in Liverpool.
Yeah.
So, no, it'd be Manchester for me.
Dave? You adjudicate on this one.
Yeah, Manchester for me, all day long. I mean, I've spent quite a lot of time in Birmingham years ago because my first ex-wife was from there.
Okay.
But yeah, it's never the second city as far as I'm concerned.
Fair play. Georgie Redmond says, "Do we hate Liverpool more than we love Everton?" I think some Evertonians do.
Yeah, I do.
Some do, but we don't. I don't think.
No.
I mean, except for Robertson.
Yeah, except for Robertson. Any ref can elbow him in the head.
Yeah. Up the liner, the elbow and liner. Brian Farrell says, "Name a skill you think you've mastered."
Dead easy. Air frying.
We wouldn't know, Dave, would we? I refer to
we still.
I mean, of the 1878.
Last night I done a lasagna and a steak and kidney pie at the same time in my air fryer. It was unbelievable.
We wouldn't know. We don't believe
skills.
it. We call bollocks, don't we, Dave? We call bollocks on that, don't we?
We do call bollocks on that one. And the thing is that I think that can we just put this out there now, Baz?
Go on.
And I know that we'll get Bush's vote on this.
We will.
Is that before the end of the season, we need to have
100%.
the air frying display.
It's got
100%.
100%.
You know?
No,
And
100%.
I think it's what people
want.
People want.
It's why people are still here.
To be fair,
That and obvious that
you're right. No, you're right. You're both
survival.
right because I feel number one, I feel bad, and number two, I feel robbed. Because Andy Bush has made a segment on his radio show, Give It the Big I Am, about Toasty Tuesday, and he just stole it off this podcast. But those people will never know.
No,
because I don't.
My missus was having it. Oh, they do this. So I went. Yeah, do they? It's funny that. Go back to episode 2 and listen to us discussing that idea.
I take full responsibility for that.
Yeah. Okay, and the final question is from Billy G. It says, "Are the Fab going to share the details of their meeting with Kevin Thelber, or just mention words like context and key initiative?"
Why do we have to talk about Everton?
I don't know. We can get that kind of windbaggery from the board. So the point is, what's the point of Fab if they don't share the info?
Do you even know what the Fab is?
No.
None. No idea of any context of Everton and the word Fab.
It's not.
No.
That's the way they play.
Dave's a fan.
Yeah,
Dave's a fan who's not mightn't have his finger on like the world we're in because we're in it, and I think that fully demonstrates Dave Vitti, Joe Public there. And he has no idea what the Fab is, and that says it all in one. So the Fab was created. It's a shadow board for the Everton board, and it's supposed to have meetings with members of Everton's board, even though none of them will show up to meetings, even though it's a proper thing that Everton's board set up, and they're supposed to go through certain decisions together over high-profile things. And the shareholders, the board members keep failing to turn up to it, even though it's like a supposed to be an important thing. And but I think that proves it all. Dave has no idea what it is and thinks that says everything for it. Personally, I think they should all resign myself, but that's on them. Fair. I've said my piece and got in lots of trouble about the Fab. So
there you go.
I did say something live, which meant that basically someone from Everton got in touch with me and went, "You cannot say things like that." And I was like, "I just did, mate. Sorry."
Let's move on. There you go. Mic drop. Let's move on. Right. Let's end it there, Dave. We know Dave is very, very busy.
Got paddleboarding today?
He has got paddleboarding.
Today I haven't.
No, I just been in the house, getting your stance right.
The stance.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't think he's going to. I think he's got other stuff
there you go.
to deal with. That's it for this week. Thanks for listening. Give the video a thumbs up or give the podcast. Rate it 5 stars if you're listening to it. Do that. We love all that. Big thanks to Dave. We'll be back next week, hopefully with some Bush. See you later.
Bye.